Psychologist. Today's talk is brought to you by Inspiring Indian Women Group, which was started with a vision to reach out and inspire each women actually with their success stories. It helps to promote Indian culture across the globe, provide healthy platforms for Indian women to motivate and support each other, and to promote Indian women into businesses, into what they're doing, to bring up their talent, etc. So namaste all. I'm going to introduce you Dr. Chitra Girish, psychologist and counselor, Revive Hospital in Mysore, Samadhan Counseling Center in Mysore. She's a research scholar from JSS Medical College, Mysore Medical College in Karnataka. Her areas of interest is family therapy, career counseling, internet gaming disorder, mobile addiction sessions, and parental counseling. I think these areas of interest, Dr. Chitraji is very, very on at the moment in today's date. So I think I'm sure we'll have an interesting insight on that. She also engages into mental health awareness workshops among schools and college students especially. We also have today on the platform, Amisha Joshi Bhardwaj, welcome. Certified NLP trainer and emotional fitness coach.
Thank you.
She's based in London, founder of Fitness Mastery, specializes herself in empowering women and men as well, and in becoming emotionally fit and thrive despite of what life throws at you. And we know that in the last 2 years, life has thrown a lot of things to a lot of people, regardless the gender, whoever it is. Her programs are focused on building emotional fitness for women, and she works with a lot of professionals. Some of her clients are doctors, healers, yoga teachers, writers, and many more. Women are accomplished, yet due to the social conditioning, experiencing emotional challenges in themselves. Now we know in certain cultures, women experience more emotional challenges than others. So I think it's worth taking up this topic as well. Around self-worth, past traumas and everything. Amisha shares simple methods that are easy to use without being overwhelmed. And so the individual can use them and make progress. Thank you everyone today for coming on to this platform. A couple of words before we start, ladies. Dr. Chitraji, would you like to say something before we start? And I bombard you with lots of questions.
Yes, of course. Let me start with the platform where I'm talking today, that is NRISupportindia.com. Through this channel, I'm introduced to speak with the IIW London chapter. This is a NRI support group. Basically, it all started in the second wave of COVID pandemic, where there was a lot of uncertainties, stranded individuals across countries. Some are jobless, many financial problem hit the country. So in that aspect, this group, they contacted me to fill their gap for this psychological well-being of their individuals. This is how we connected, and not only the psychological counseling or individual counseling, and they have been working with across the country, across world, for example, UK, US, some UAE, Ukrainian crisis. They all involved in students relocation, jobless. They are into helping the people to find the new job, new avenues, even finding the new homes, shelter, and even the food kits ration arrangement. So they are into this kind of mankind societal work they are doing in the Gurgaon based NGO. Through this channel, I am introduced to speak. And apart from that, I am basically settled in Mysore, Karnataka, where I take personal counseling, psychological counseling. I do work in hospital as well as in my clinic. We do conduct a lot of mental health awareness among the youths to have a basic knowledge about ongoing and the most common mental health that we can find across the spectrum.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra. Amisha, just a brief introduction apart from what I told you about yourself, sorry.
Yes, so I, as I was saying earlier, I'm a Bombay girl and I've been in London for 15 years. You can get a girl out of Bombay, but you can't get Bombay out of a girl, right? So I still say that. And I am very, very closely connected with India, of course, and being here on this platform, to support women Indian women all over the world has been a real privilege. So thank you very much for inviting me and having me here. About what I do, I think it's been a journey. It's been a long journey. So I've always been in the hotel industry. My career has always been in hospitality, worked with the Taj Group in India, and built up my own company with my husband in hotel consulting, and went in and got a certification in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. Yes, it's a bit of a mouthful, but very, very helpful in terms of skills, life skills. And I use those to coach women on emotional fitness. So I use NLP methodology, which has a bit of combination. I mean, Dr. Chitra will know there's a bit of CBT, bit of communication skills, bit of mindset programming, all of that stuff. But I use it essentially for emotional fitness around, for women, because this is an area that, a lot of women are not even aware of what's happening with their emotions and what might be, what is the physical side of emotions? How does your body actually work? And that's the emphasis I provide in all my programs to all my clients, so that they really, once they understand what's happening with them, they're able to manage a lot of stuff on their own and hopefully not have to get into, mental health challenges or reach that point where you then have to seek, very, very big kind of support and help, like what Dr. Chitra provides.
All right.
So that's where it comes in. Yes.
Thank you. I think these two mini introductions from yourself help us to sort of know you a bit better. I think it's important to know, for me to have introduced you on your professional side, but it's good to know you on the personal side as well a bit, so that people can connect you. Chitraji, why do you think mental health awareness and knowledge is important aspect for everyone to know in these challenging days? Just like Amisha just said, why do you think this is important to know, especially amongst this our community based, and especially I think for women? Women are very strong, very powerful, but there are times in this I have a feeling they discard their emotional side sometimes. They just say, chalega, ho jayega, tomorrow is another day.
Yeah, ma'am. Well, working in hospital setup and school and college setup, we came across increased number of patients flowing across OPD in the wards, the two with the serious conditions. And then when we saw they were not having any basic or the basic knowledge of the mental health agonies what they used to undergo, and we found out that the quality of life when they undergo, it may be anything, anxiety, stress, depression, OCD per se, or even eating disorder. They first suffer the first couple of months, they just undergo thinking that something is wrong. By the time they realize it's not something, it is really something serious to be noticed, to get consultation with the doctor or any mental health or any professionals, that would have led to some other next degree of the condition. So in that, especially when this kind of sufferings would have been in the youth population, we have even observed they might have end up the life succumbing to the maybe suicide, or maybe not getting into the academics, maybe come out of the system. So to avoid these kind of consequences, we thought of having the awareness among the youth. Then when gradually it all, like mental health, it will not restrict to only one kind of population. It will not it would hamper anybody who is undergo stress. Maybe housewife, maybe it may be any profession, they would be having one or the other kind of depressing factor, stressful factor, anxiety factor, maybe OCD sometimes. So we thought of to suffer that jalta hai kind of thing. We thought of creating awareness so that they can have a better quality of life in consultation with their professionals, or any, at least even they speak up when they come up, then they open up with their friends, peers, any profession, at least they have some sense of satisfaction, some sense of relief that we wanted to create. So all this started with this kind of when you used to see the, as I said, increase in the OPD or in the ward or in the personal counseling session. So we created a machine to have to give a importance to knowledge, the basic knowledge in the generic language, to understand the basic modalities of all these general symptoms. So this is how to improve the quality of life and to have a better treatment modalities available nowadays. Everyone should know the importance of mental health.
Amisha ji, the same question I would ask you, but in a different sort of perspective. In the last 2 years, how much mental health awareness and knowledge did you sort of impart with regards, how did you manage that part and make sure that people knew that there is help out there?
Yeah, so mine has been more of a direct approach, I would say, in terms of, just putting the information out there across social media, across the networks that I am in, and offering people something that they can do easily. So what I've been doing is, doing these really short 3-day, 5-day programs that people can gain a lot of information and a lot of methodology, like Chitra was saying, that they can use for themselves without having to be overwhelmed, because everybody goes through something or the other. Let's face that fact, right? There's no single person who's got everything sorted in their life all of the times. There's always something or the other that might be happening with someone. And I think the most essential part is when you recognize in that moment what's really going on, and you're able to deploy or use the methods that you've learned. It's like, I call it emotional first aid, right? It's like if you fell and you had a wound, and it was bleeding, you'd need to get the antiseptic in and make sure that it doesn't get exposed further, etc., etc. So the same thing happens when you're experiencing undesirable emotions. And I've basically gone on and put out these programs, and like I said, made them very easily accessible and affordable for people, so that they can use it and start working with them straight away. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing.
Thank you very much. Very interesting answer, and very nice programs you seem to have there. We'll try and discover them more later on. You said you are an emotional fitness coach. What's the difference between, mental health and emotional fitness, Amisha ji?
I would exactly draw the same comparison as your physical fitness and your, if you're physically sick, right? You don't have to be physically sick to invest in physical fitness, or be, work out, exercise, have good nutrition, all of that. So those are your components of your physical fitness, right? So that you're healthy, you have energy, you can do the things that you need to do on a daily basis is your fitness. And if you get sick and you need doctors and treatments, that's at another spectrum, right? Yeah. So emotional fitness and mental health, in my understanding, are pretty much, different elements on the same spectrum. So you can exercise your emotions on a daily basis. You can invest in your emotional fitness from the point of the time, the effort, all of that on a regular basis, so that you don't end up in those situations where you have serious problems. So they're pretty much on the same spectrum. That's the difference. Yeah, different same spectrum, different ends.
Very interesting answer. Thank you very much. Chitraji, you said you have interest in, I read you have interest in family therapy as well.
Yes.
And this is actually a question related to family. How does family therapy help to come out of any psychological or family conflicts? If you could maybe just give us a small insight on that. And, do you have the whole family coming? My image in my head is you have the whole family coming to see a professional and talk about it, or, you have these things that you see on the movies where you have couples going for couple therapy. And so how does it help in a family in getting out of those kind of conflicts?
Yes, a family therapy.
And the importance of it, actually.
Yeah. Nowadays, family therapy is becoming very popular as a part of the psychotherapies we do in the hospital as well as in the clinic setups, ma'am.
Oh, wow.
Especially this family therapy improves the communication gaps, improves and it improves to resolve the conflicts among the family members. For example, in the serious mental health conditions like schizophrenia, where entire family would be suffering, not only the patient. So when the family comes to know about his or her conditions, like maybe hallucination, maybe delusion, they would understand, they should know the basics of the modalities of the disease, so that they also understand and how to cope up with that patient, they would understand in a broader picture. Again, all these mental health conditions are of long term. The family need to have a strong, mental ability, and they should accept the fact that it's not going to end at maybe in the short term. So this kind of conflicts are the clarity they would be having through family therapy. If we take the particular examples like the depression patients or the OCD patients, especially where in a OCD, the patient himself or herself would be suffering a lot of anxiety. It's basically an anxiety disorder, but the family would not be knowing what is happening in their mindset, in them. So to avoid the further conflict, to avoid the family separation, which would be the consequence of the not understanding the modality of the seriousness of the disorder, one need to be usually in the hospital setup, we call the stakeholders of the family. If it is a couple therapy, we call spouse. If it is a family, maybe we include even children, parents, even the siblings also. So they should know what exactly is causing the problem. Because if a son is undergoing schizophrenia, obviously parents would suffer. And obviously their siblings start seeing them in a different angle, maybe bullying them, maybe making fun of them, taking undue advantages. That would again, it would rebound, it would aggravate their conditions. So to avoid all these complications, we generally call up to match their convenient time. We fix up a time, usually around 20 to 25 minutes of their family time. We educate, the kind of psycho education we give, brief them about any disease modality, like for example OCD or even substance abuse. Nowadays we are getting more substance abuse cases, wherein parents would not be knowing that their son or daughter has undergoing a lot of this kind of substance abuse, and it has become addictive, and it's going to undergo a lot many changes, maybe academic, financial, social, emotional trauma, everything would be undergoing. So when we call parents, when we educate them, when we when we make them to sit, many cases we take their consent, we ask open questions, and in many cases we have a close and confidential communication. Then we try to patch up the things, especially in the couple therapy. As you said, family therapy is very much important, wherein nowadays even the in-laws, mothers, parents are also including. And also the success rate what we are seeing in the setup, in the Indian setup with the family therapy, is much more encouraging us to get involved, family as well, to have some to have some resolution in the very effective manner. Because after the discharge from the hospital, family should not have like you are discharged from the mental hospital, maybe no, that kind of taboo, that trauma they undergo in the mental or psychiatric setup. When they go outside, the family should support them in an encouraging manner. So to have all this education, psychoeducation as the underlying thing, we do family therapy to address almost all mental health disorder.
Thank you for that, Chitraji. I mean, you're right. I think sustainability and taboo are very important to bring up. Amisha ji, when you do your sessions, is it one-to-one, family-based, or how do you manage that?
Yeah, hi. Usually it's one-to-one because, it's when an individual recognizes that they're struggling with something and then they decide to seek help is when they come to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of the emotional fitness challenges usually would be in one or two areas. Typical ones would be relationship areas, and could be any of the relationships for an individual. Or it could be, not being able to sustain relationships,
Or even
like
relationship with yourself, actually, because
Yeah,
you have
absolutely.
a relationship with yourself, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the more common ones are, where they're not able to sustain relationships where the way they want, and that sort of comes down to, how well, like you said, you feel connected to yourself or not,
Yeah.
and how invested you are in yourself. And there are others who come in for health related challenges, that they have health goals and they're not able to stick with what they need to do, whether it's eat well or exercise well. And all of these things finally start to bog them down, and that it's sort of builds up and creates anxiety and depression and all of those other issues. The common thing that they struggle with and is getting the support from the family, and because I work a lot with women, the more of them will come and say, yes, I need to do something more, but I need to ask my husband first. Or, can I spend the money? Because there's no proof, right? There's no documentation and there's no numeric, value in terms of, you're feeling, 3 on 10 today and you're going to feel 10 on 10 after you invest in yourself. There's no documentation about it. There's no calculation. There's no data. So a lot of people cannot believe that, doing certain things is actually going to help them, because the mindset of our social conditioning is that, if I'm sick, I need to take medicine. It's just that. And what I work with is like, don't get to the point where you end up needing medication, right? Absolutely. So do the other stuff. So I think for the individuals, it's like they want it, but they can't seem to get the support. So a lot of women who maybe are not self-sufficient financially, or they're dependent on someone, they're the ones who struggle. The other ones who are okay to make their own decisions will just sort of go forward. And I think that's such a social taboo that I want to bring about as well, because that is one of the big mental health causes with women,
Yes, social taboo. That's what I was going to say. I was going to ask you, I think Chitraji might be seeing mostly Indian, origin people, as she's based mostly in India. But you, Amisha ji, which do you see mostly ethnic minorities in your, or do you see a variety of population? What do you? Because you do have this taboo in the Indian community that you can't say you're going through depression, or you have a mental health issue, not necessarily depression, but or there's something going on. And when you say you're dependent on somebody financially and you've gone to take out the money to pay the specialist, you just say, what if somebody finds out in your family? And have you had those kind of situations? And how do they sustain it afterwards when they've finished the counseling or whatever, Amisha ji?
Yeah. So I think the situations are not so much if somebody finds out, but how do you convince the person who has to pay for it, to shell out the cash so that I can feel better. It's like that,
Yeah.
Because, the other person doesn't believe in this stuff, or the other person doesn't think I have a problem, right? Yeah. But it's always the individual who's experiencing it. And those are the things I work with women on, saying, okay, there is a certain way that you're going to have to communicate it. There's a certain way you're going to have to, share what you're going through, so that the other person understands. And a lot of times when we're triggered by our emotions and triggered by any kind of mental health trigger, it's difficult to actually articulate what's going on. It's difficult to convince another person that, hey, listen, I really need help, you know. And those are skills, those are what I call them. These are human skills, because as a species, humans were not born speaking. Like language and communication are two different things altogether, right? A bird, an animal, a fish, you know, whoever it is, whichever living creature knows how to communicate in their way. Language is only specific to human beings. So if we think about it from an evolutionary perspective, we, you know, organically or naturally, we just communicate through sounds, and, you know, we express our emotions through anger and, you know, loudness and high pitched tones. We do not express a depressed emotion or an anger based emotion with words. It's always, you know, so those are the things I teach, and I help the women saying, okay, you know, how can you connect with the other person, make them understand what you really need. And these are obviously the women who are dependent on somebody
most of the time.
You know, the ones who are not dependent and can take their own decisions are okay to sort of, you know, decide, do I want to
but
get help, or
sometimes
do I not
even
want to get help?
when you're not dependent, you know, it's, I think even when you're on, you're able to make your own decisions, people can, you don't even know that you're going through. So how will you be able to make that decision that you're going through, or you need help or anything? Because family can be very judgmental. And when you go and see the third party, but how do you know that, yes, you need that help? How do I know I need to go and see Amisha ji, and who will be able to help me? So I'm able to take the decision, but do I know I need this? So there's that side as well, the reverse actually.
That side is, again, understanding what is happening, right? Like Chitraji said, nobody even knows what's happening. You know, you just sort of, you think that, oh, you know, the person is the problem. That's the common judgment, is that the individual is a problem. The individual is difficult, you know, but that's not what it is. And Chitraji would know this as well, that a lot of, you know, the first and foremost thing that I share with everybody is all your foundations of your mental health, your emotional fitness are already happen in the age of 0 to 7. That's your foundation of your life. When you're born, you're just born with a body. Everything else, with your mind and your emotions, all your impressions, imprints are happening through your life experiences. But the foundation of those experiences are between the age of 0 to 7.
That's interesting.
And that's why in Hindu
the first
culture,
time I'm hearing that.
In the Hindu culture, we always said, right, when a woman is expecting a baby, she should be happy. She should always look at, you know, in my home, it was always like, oh, put pictures of Lord Krishna on your wall, right? so you'll get a boy like him. And I'm like, oh, but what if I want a girl? You know, what if I get a girl? Kind of thing. But that's a different matter, right? But the point is that, you know, if the whole connection between mother and child, the emotions of the mother pass on to the child. So even a lot of times, you know, people struggle, even if they've had a happy childhood, they still wonder, why am I struggling? You know. So
I think it's an interesting fact.
It is deep, and it's all neurological.
This is the first time I'm hearing that your sort of emotional basis, everything, you know, it's between the age of 0 and 7. It's very good to know. We'll move on to Chitraji. You said you also take interest in parental counselling. So you explained earlier on that if you have a child who is unwell in the family, that family support comes in, parents need to understand. So that's sort of more of a family therapy. But can you highlight a bit more about parental counseling? What is that? Is it what can you give us more of an insight on it?
Yes. Family therapy, apart from the family therapy, nowadays, especially in the child psychology area, parental counseling, parental involvement is much more becoming more prominent, because usually parents comes to here in Indian context. I'm talking, if I take the examples of Indian context, where the parents come in, they say, my son or my daughter is like nowadays he is dull, he's not into academics, you don't mingle with the family member. They would not be knowing the cause or the root of what is happening. So when in the child psychology setup or in the school counselor, there would be students counselor where they counsel the child. 90%, I'm talking about the Mysore school-based scenario, they point out towards the family members. Maybe my father is not speaking to me, mother is not giving time to me, maybe sibling rivalry in the home, maybe due to financial problem, they might have cornered. So all these problems, familial problems, that might have piled up a child's emotional, content, and the child would be suffering in one or the other way. Usually we get the cases of, parents just they take their children and they say he was studying very well till class 7. Now automatically he started, getting less marks or no interest in academics, or he used to talk much before, and now he's not at all opening mouth. So this kind of general problems, general complaints we get. When this kind of problems arises, first we counsel the parents. What was the home scenario? How was the home environment before? And what is there any changes, any notable changes that has happened, any death in the family, or any financial constraint, or any changes in the parents, sharing their time with the children, is it affected? So all this would definitely affect a small, especially as ma'am told, this tender age is very sensitive. And even if there is any small changes from the family member side or in the parent side, that would affect negatively with the children. So yeah, so this parental counseling and parental involvement, it is very much essential to have a holistic approach, holistic growth of any child. So we involve more and more parents to address any child psychology cases. And if it all belongs to the school level, school-based thing. Again, if there is any child is having any ADHD or autism kind of thing, again parents need to support the child throughout the long time, as it is a long duration treatment. So parents needs to be firm. They should be more and more encouraging, understanding, responsible for any child growth, to expect a holistic growth of any child. In this aspect, parental involvement, parental counseling is a very, very prominent role in these days.
Just one, you're talking about, do you use any kind of holistic therapy, or is it more scientific therapy? Is it based on, because
yeah,
you a lot of things going around holistic healing and
yes,
and versus scientific healing? What do you sort of use? And I'll ask the same question to Amisha ji. What kind of sort of therapy do you prefer, or do you think both of them can be used, etc.?
In the school setup, ma'am, if they see if the problem is concerned or defined to only the family members and the parents, they call like a family therapy kind of thing they doing in the school setup. They have like, for example, I had a student like once his sibling is born, he was somewhere around 9 years, very pampered child till age 9. When the sibling is born, he's been cornered, all the mother attention, the small baby used to draw. At that time, he got maybe I'm getting neglected by the parents. Suddenly changes, we could observe the changes in the boys' academics, social interaction, familial adjustment. So when we dig up more things, we came to know that my mama used to give me more time. Now she don't have time for me, kind of thing. And he used to hit that small baby because like he thinks she's like kind of a disturbing factor. All the attention is seeking by her. So this kind of problem, just with mere counseling, mere understanding to the patient, and education kind of sessions would definitely help to solve such kind of problems. But when it comes to the mental health problem in the growing child, we usually refer to psychiatrist. And again, there are different special schools which are running to address this kind of mental health issues among the growing children.
It reminds me of a story in my family where both of my nephews were born like 1 year difference. And we sort of, thought that the best thing to do is to give more attention to the elder one than the baby, because babies' needs are satisfied easily, diapers, food, milk, whatever, breastfeeding, whatever. And we do give them the emotional love when we're doing it, but I think the attention we have given to the firstborn should be continuously the same without changing. So the focus still remain on the elder one. And we, consciously gave more attention to him so that he doesn't feel neglected. But this is something, we don't realize, I think, sometimes when two kids are born within a short period of time. So Amisha ji, holistic healing or scientifical?
It's never one or the other. It's always both. It's always has to be both, because again, if I draw on the comparison with our physical self, if you're hurt, then you need the wound to be treated, and that involves a bit of science, right? It involves a bit of modern science, I would say. We're not living in the age where we are going to go into the mountains and get the same jari booty that Hanuman got for Lakshman when he was wounded, right, in the Ramayana. So in the current day and age that we're living in, we have to work with what is current and what is suitable to our current environment. And unfortunately, a lot of people tend to go one extreme or another. And I also work with a lot of people who tend to rely so heavily on spiritual methods. And
more and more at the moment, I think it's very trendy.
We need it. Don't get me wrong. It's not about science or spirituality, because I think they're two sides of the same coin. But the point is, you can't rely extremely heavily on one or the other. Okay, so it's like saying, if I can't take supplements all the time for my physical health, I have to exercise, I have to eat well. There's no doubt, right? So from that perspective, you have to know how to balance these two without relying on one too much. And I look at it this way: there are spiritual, our traditional methods of yoga, meditation, all of those are the ones that really boost our power, our inner power. But when you're dealing with a problem, that's when you have to seek scientific support. So I usually use both.
I think it's very right, because what I've seen, in my surrounding, is either or one or the other. And holistic or spiritual healing is more and more people are just 100% into it. They don't want to look, because you could come to a point where you actually need to see a specialist. You actually need to see a doctor. And these people who are one-sided, where they think, no, I'll work on my spiritual side and everything will be fine. But
that only settles your karma.
Exactly.
That only settles the past karma, I would say. If you're dealing with a problem now, you've got to resolve it now, with specific action.
I think with both, it's also more sustainable. That's my sort of view on this, that you should try and balance both therapies. Let's move on. Amisha ji, coaching, counseling, what's the difference, and which one is the most efficient method? Which one sustains?
Again, I always say it depends on what is relevant. It's never one versus the other, right?
Okay.
It's always about what's relevant to your situation or to what is required in that moment.
What's the difference?
Counseling involves a lot of understanding of the past, history. It involves understanding how or why the person's come to the situation that they have been in or they are in right now. With coaching, it's very outcome focused, So the coaching would be more like, what do you want to have happen? So let's say if somebody comes to me with a health related challenge and say, okay, I need to lose weight and I'm not able to become consistent. I'm not able to stick to disciplines, etc. Typical example. That's where the coaching comes in, saying, okay, what's your outcome? How much weight do you want to lose? How much time do you have to invest in yourself, given that you're a mom, you've got 2 kids, you've got a home, you've got a job. So what is the time that you have left in your day to invest in yourself? So the coaching will start, customizing and, making it very specific for the individual so that they're able to achieve, so that they're able to make the progress.
You make the counseling, actually.
Yeah. And the counseling will come and say, okay, so why are you not able to be disciplined? Or why are you not able to, keep that routine for yourself, because something is affecting you, some mindset is there, some belief is stopping you from it happening. And typical belief would be like, oh, I've never seen my mom do it, so I've never done it, right? I've always seen my mom serving the family, looking after us, etc., etc. So it's an unconscious thing. It's an unconscious behavior that a person has created. So from the counseling perspective, you'd understand what is the history to be able to start making changes or reprogram how you do stuff. Yeah.
That's very
So it's always both. I never go one or the other. It's always both.
So, Chitraji, do you do coaching as well? Do you create specific programs for individuals who come and see you and say, you need to follow this, try and see what will happen next week or next time you see something like that, or not? Like,
Yeah, I
Amisha
do
ji does.
take personal counseling across all the age and different category. If it is like they are able to follow, because a few clients are like they just need some miracle to be happen in one visit or one go. In that case, I may not able to help them. But yes, of course, you are ready to follow up and take time, because usually it takes some 4 to 5 sessions to address, to get some at least desirable changes.
Yeah.
In that case, definitely I do advise what many therapies for them, especially in the youths. I'm more into the youth and the children child psychology.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I would have asked you to share some, positive examples. If I have time, I'll ask you to do it at the end, probably.
Yeah.
But one more question that's going on in my head. Amisha ji, how does one become emotionally fit? And if you could give us a couple of tips in here, and this, I'm hoping that this will sort of help you to promote as well your business at the same time.
So more than anything, I would say our emotions are very scientific in nature. Yeah, I'm going to bring in the science now, right? Because I always say our emotions are generated because they're coming about by a combination of your neurotransmitters and your hormones, okay, in your body. Simple as that. So if you think of your body like a chemistry lab, I don't know who liked chemistry in school. I hated it. But if you just imagine that your body is a chemistry lab, every single feeling, every single emotion that you're experiencing is happening because there is a combination of some brain chemical that is being generated in that moment, along with how your hormones are working in your body. Okay, so there is a constant combination of some chemicals or the other, right? So any Harry Potter fans, you'll know that, certain things would create some funny kind of reactions, and certain things would have very magical, magic potions versus some explosive reactions, right? So every single emotion can actually be managed when you understand what is happening with those neurotransmitters, what is happening within your body. And you can actually then start creating your own emotions, You can actually then decide, what do I want to feel, and start sort of planning that accordingly. Okay. Now, with that example, having said that, it's also knowing that what kind of emotions generate what kind of effect in your body. So if you're stressed, then you're obviously high on cortisol. If you're anxious, you're again high on cortisol, or you're probably just low on serotonin. So what is really happening? What is triggering those emotions? Once you know that, you will start taking the actions. And I usually like to, give everybody a hack, as I call it, or in India, we call it the jugaad. Yeah. So it's the hack. So, so long as you're doing something that makes you happy, something that makes you proud, okay, every single day, and it doesn't have to be big, it has to be a small act. But when you're experiencing emotions of happiness, when you're experiencing emotions of pride in yourself, is when that fitness starts to build. So then, even if there's world war happening somewhere else, or if all of the other situations happening around the world, you are in a condition to handle yourself, make progress, make constant changes. So the hack that I use is one tip that I give everybody. This is something I invented when I had my son, and I give it all my clients and they love it. Every night, okay? Try this tonight. Every single night before you go to bed, and say it aloud. something in the day that made you happy, specifically in that day, not about your whole life. Oh, I'm really happy that I have this, I have that. In that day, what made you happy in that day? Something which was your proud moment. It could be anything. It could even mean that, oh, I cleaned my kitchen today, which I've been avoiding for the last 5 months. I mean, no, that's just, yeah.
No, if you're going through a condition, you avoid those kind of chores.
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, okay, so I cleaned my kitchen today. It made me proud. Acknowledge it, vocalize it.
Fantastic.
Okay. And what are you thankful for from that day? Again, I'm not going big in terms of life, but it's always the collection of, what made me happy, what made me proud, what am I thankful for?
Yeah.
Every night, and notice how you wake up the next morning.
That's a good hack. I'm going to try it tonight, Amisha ji.
Do it.
So I'll
Please
just reiterate what you're thankful on the day. It could be anything, and what made you happy on the day. That's
happy moment, proud moment, thankful for from that day.
Chitraji, any hack you want to give us according to your experience to sort of make your day, or say
I would just want to say, just express instead of keeping all the emotions inside, frustrations, stress, whatever. Every day we would be going hundreds of things and coming across so many incidents, situations, conditions. Instead of keeping inside and making like a pressure cooker, you have just express, maybe the friends, maybe through letters, maybe write up, maybe blogs, maybe some phone call. So that would relieve to certain extent.
Don't bottle it up.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
That's the name of the program.
Yes.
Don't bottle it up. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't. This is because see, like everybody, every human being, they would be undergoing one or the other emotional stress. And distress, we call distress sometime. Everybody, one or the other time, they must have gone through depression, anxiety, stress, all these negative elements. And somewhere in the mind, it would have been it would have been remained in the corner of the mind. And when we are in the low phase, low feeling low, it again triggers our emotions to become much more, in the negative feeling or lower kind of thing. So just come up and express and share. This is what I usually suggest to everybody, because nowadays listeners are becoming very, very lesser in number. We don't have friends. Many people, they come and they say, "Madam, I don't have friends to speak out, friends to share my things." Or they don't feel that they have somebody who can be reliable. Even the family side, even the school, colleges, professional as field, anywhere, they are having they just go mechanical kind of thing, mechanical kind of world. It is spreading across the generation. So somewhere they are having so many kind of maybe emotional stress, social stress, professional stress, personal stress. So somewhere we need to relieve. So this is what I just advise. Share accordingly, share according to, make some friends, maybe family setup with the professional front or in the college, school, or the social gathering. So this is how we need to balance both professional, school, college, and personal life.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Can I just add to that, please? Is it okay if I can add to that? So because Chitraji is so important for connecting with people who, you can share stuff with. And like you said, one of the big challenges that especially the youth are facing is not being able to find that person who will understand them or relate to them or, not judge them. Right?
That's the big word, judgment. So, that's the big word.
So what's another hack I'm going to give everybody, where you don't want to bottle it up. And let's say you don't have anybody you can reach out on, even if you've got amazing friends and amazing family, everybody's supportive, but they're not present at that moment. If nothing else, just record a voice note on your phone to just vent out whatever is happening with you, because it's not like you need somebody else to be sitting and listening to you for 5 hours. What you need is to get it out of your system.
Yes.
Okay. So that you are feeling healthier and fitter. Okay. And your phone is great. I mean, we've got such amazing technology, but we use it for looking at everybody else's fake lives on social media rather than, using it for our benefit. There's a voice note feature on every phone. Beautiful. Just use it. Okay. And there is one amazing woman that I follow, Mel Robbins. She's an American coach. And she also talks about a 5-second rule. Okay. And I'm going to share this with everybody because I think it's very important to know this, that you actually just have a 5-second window to take any action based on what you're experiencing. If you don't take the action in the 5 seconds, then it'll start to build up, or you'll forget about it and you will get distracted or whatever. So it's both for positive as well as the undesirable emotions. So if within those 5 seconds, when you're feeling triggered, when you're feeling heavy, you need to vent out, and instead of bottling it up, open that voice note on your phone and just blurt it out. Doesn't matter. Just blurt it out. Even if nobody is listening, it's out of your system and you will feel a lot better.
Fantastic.
Amazing. Thank you.
Please use your
hack,
phones.
Amisha ji.
Yes.
Excellent. I would continue talking to you too, another half an hour, 45 minutes, but I'm sure we're not, we don't have that much time. And your interest area, I think we could do another session. We need to ask Inspiring Indian Women on internet gaming disorder and mobile addiction sessions. This is very, very, on at the moment. So let's pass on the message to Inspiring Indian Ladies if we could have another session with you two, particularly on internet gaming and mobile addiction session. I think that would be amazing.
I will send my son for that one for sure, about the gaming bit.
So maybe we could have a talk about that next time. We've still got a few minutes, ladies. I really want you to go out there and advertise yourself. So I'm going to ask Amisha ji, give us your contact, give us your email addresses and your websites, just so that anybody needing can contact you. I mean, getting to know you just this 45 minutes was amazing. And I found you two very, very engaging. And I think you're doing a fantastic job. So Amisha ji, please go. And then
Malini, thank you. I'm going to share information for Chitraji as well.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm going to put it up on my screen, and please feel free to take a screenshot for everybody. We will also add this image on the Facebook post where the live relay is happening. So all of the information is out here. So please feel free to get in touch with Chitraji. She's doing some amazing stuff.
I'll just read it through. So it's Chitra Girish, psychologist and family counselor, NRI Support India, which she did introduce at the end, in the beginning of the conversation. She's got a website, there's a WhatsApp number, and there's an email address. And then we have Amisha Joshi Bhardwaj, international NLP trainer and emotional fitness coach, where we have a website as well, a WhatsApp number and an email address. Very nicely done, Amisha ji. Thank you very much for that. I'd like to thank, last but not least, we had somebody who was supposed to join us, but unfortunately they can't, is Mrs. Ritika Jaiswal, founder of NRI Support. I thought it was important to mention her, and a humanitarian consultant activist, and she works in collaboration with Chitraji as well. So thank you, Ritika ji, for all this work, hard work you're doing as well. It's important that we thank you as well. I want to thank Inspiring Indian Women as well for bringing up these two wonderful ladies. And I repeat, we could do another session. And that's it, basically. Ladies, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And
thank you very much for having
connect soon.
us.
Thank you.
Yes.
So much. Yes.
And thank you to Inspiring Indian Women as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Namaste all. Bye-bye.